What is going on, Arizona sports fan family? How are we doing today on this beautiful, beautiful Saturday evening here? Well, we're here to have our very first NFC West roundtable, guys. We are extremely excited to bring this content to you guys. Hopefully, we're going to be getting this starting to happen. Maybe, obviously, more towards the season once it comes through. We'll start be doing this a lot more, but maybe we'll have a talks about maybe doing after draft or maybe even doing a pre-draft where we all kind of get together and really figure out what our team is going to do, guys. Super excited. I want to go ahead and introduce to you guys one of my guys, Joe, and I got Steezy here in the house. Let's start off with Joe, if you want to introduce yourself and where they can find you.
What's going on, everybody? I am Sheriff Joe Baggs, host of the Rams Showcase podcast. Everywhere, I'm at Rams Showcase and at Sheriff Joe Baggs. And I am unfortunately not in California. I am in Colorado. So forgive me if I don't know the local scene as much as others. All right.
All good. All right, Steezy, you're up, my guy. I think you're mute.
My bad. First of all,
I
just want to say I'm super excited for this. Once again, nice to meet you guys. At Steezy A. Smith, if you guys don't already know, all social media platforms. I'm from Seattle. I cover the Seahawks, one of the teams that I cover. And I got a YouTube channel. I'm a college student, but that's pretty much, the scoop.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, appreciate you guys for getting on here. If you guys know a 49er guy, we're still waiting for that fourth piece to come through. So if you're a 49ers guy and you're interested in doing something like this, definitely let me know in the comments below, or you can shoot me a DM on Instagram. Basically, it's at theazsportsfan.com. The logo will be the exact same logo. Me with this, cartoon version of me is exactly everything the same, guys. So we're going to jump into this, guys. Everybody's here to talk some NFC West, probably one of the best divisions in all of football. And I'm really excited to bring this content to you guys. First things first, I want to talk about latest rumors, big trades, acquisitions, all that different stuff that has happened so far in this offseason. Let's start off with my guy, Sheriff Joe over here, man. One of the biggest things that kind of started off the 2021 season is none other than the Los Angeles Rams trading for Matthew Stafford over Jared Goff. What happened, man? What's going on over there?
Well, it kind of sounds like, I don't know if you guys saw that ESPN article, but it kind of was a little bit of an expose about the Sean McVay and Jared Goff relationship. And turned out that ended up getting a little bit strained. And it happened to be in that 49ers game. Of course, the Rams did go 0-2 against the Niners this season. So it kind of happened there. It sounds like there was a little bit of a public call out in the locker room. And then Rams fans know that there was a call out in the postgame press conference by Sean McVay. So, it was kind of one of those where we kind of felt like something was maybe a little bit weird there. And, I was a little surprised to see the move happen so fast. But when you have your GM and head coach saying, yeah, he's a Ram right now, making comments like that, it kind of is like it's writing on the wall. So, Jared Goff was the weak spot of the Rams offense last year, and the Rams were able to win 10 games and win a road playoff game. So I think if you improve that spot, which I do believe the Rams did, going from Jared Goff to Matthew Stafford, I don't by how much, I'm actually not sure yet. We'll see, but I think the Rams did improve that spot, and I think you can go from 10 wins and a road playoff win to maybe 11, 12 wins, maybe 2 playoff wins. We'll see what happens. So either way, I'm excited for the move, and I was always a Jared Goff supporter, but those turnovers really did become a problem. So yeah, I'm not super upset.
I was going to ask you too, man. I was actually personally here as far as like a Cardinal fan, I was extremely surprised in this whole situation. I mean, obviously we don't hear a lot of stuff from Sean McVay because that's all, in Los Angeles and we're over here. But coming from a team that you've beaten 8 straight times in a row, I'm not salty, but you know what I mean? It's so crazy to see that, Jared Goff, got moved on from. Now, I did hear a lot of the rumors. I didn't believe it. Did you know something was going to happen? I know the comments were towards the end of the press conference, but did you really think that this was something that was going to happen?
I didn't think it was something that was going to happen while games were still being played. But then, once the season actually ended in Green Bay in that postseason game, those comments, Sean McVay saying like today he's the Rams quarterback, and then you have Les Snead, the GM, he's saying like he's actually sitting there like, oh, what day is it? Yeah, he's still a Ram. Like that to me is like that. I talked about it on my show right then. Is like he's as good as gone. I don't see any way that he's still here. And yeah, I didn't know that the Stafford move was going to happen so quick, pre-Super Bowl. But, like I said, I'm not hating the move. It's if there's one thing that the Rams have shown us, that it's not that they are not going to hang on to a guy just because of a contract, anything like that. If they feel like it's time to move on, they're going to move on.
Completely agree, man. Perfect. Perfectly said. Now let's move on to my guy, Steezy A. Smith over here. Guys, if you guys don't know him, he does do Seahawks content, lives in Seattle. So definitely a guy to ask any questions to. My guy, let me ask you the latest rumors, everything that was currently going on with Russell Wilson, man. Do you have, obviously not inside scoop, but what can you tell us a little bit more that wasn't on the media out there? And were you scared that you were going to lose your franchise quarterback?
I wasn't scared at all. I mean, I feel like when it first came out, I was a little rattled, because we've heard rumors before, right? Before he signed his contract, everyone was like, "Oh, he's going to New York." I remember Phil Simms, or was it Chris Simms? He talked about how the Seahawks offered Russ for the #1 overall pick back in 2018, which the Browns ended up using on Baker Mayfield. That was a thing, and so there's been a lot of talk about Russell Wilson in the past, and so when I first heard this, I was a little concerned, but at the same time, I was like, Seattle's the best situation for him. Seattle's going to do right by him. Seattle's going to continue to cater to him like they have in the past. And so I was like, what? It's just the national media putting out a story. It's the off season. It's after the Super Bowl. Not much to talk about. You're trying to put content out there. Russell Wilson's a big name. He's a superstar. He's box office. Yeah. He's Hollywood. And so with that being said, if you put Russell Wilson out there and you kind of make everything larger than what it actually is, you get people talking about it, and then you put up numbers, you put up, stuff like that. And so I wasn't at all worried. And then when he talked about the 4 teams that he had listed, the Cowboys, the Saints, the Bears, and the Raiders, for me, I started playing GM for each of those teams, and I couldn't muster up any packages that I felt like was worth trading for Russell Wilson. He's the only franchise quarterback in Seattle Seahawks history, 8 10-win seasons in his career, never below 500. While he wasn't the guy when they won a Super Bowl back in 2013, he still has a Super Bowl resume on his on his resume. Another Super Bowl appearance. I mean, he's a great quarterback, top 5 without a doubt. And franchise quarterbacks do not grow on trees, and so you just don't let go of that. You know what I'm saying? And
go ahead.
Right, exactly. And like, this marriage has been successful, right? For the most part. I get it. The Seahawks are 1-4 since 2017. I get it. The Jaguars have more playoff victories than the Seahawks since 2017. But for the most part, I could say that the relationship between Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, it's been a success. Just because there's been there's been a few hiccups down the road. I mean, it doesn't mean that this marriage is over. I mean, a little bit of counseling can go a long way. And I feel like, what the Seahawks have done this offseason, they haven't made the splashiest of moves. They're not the New England Patriots, right? But I don't know. I mean, we can get into it later, but I feel like with Seattle, I feel like they're having a really great offseason. And I'm not just saying that. That's not even the Seattle fan in me. I'm just looking at some of the guys they're bringing in, the perfect fits with the systems. They're coming in on team-friendly deals. Seattle's a couple pieces away from the Super Bowl. I feel like everything's really starting to, play itself out. And so.
Okay. That's fair. What do you think, Joe, in terms of Russell Wilson? Because I can honestly say, as myself, as a Cardinal fan looking from the outside, everything was getting too real. And I'm not going to lie to you. I really did feel like he was going to get moved on from. But, thankfully he didn't for you guys. But what did you think, Joe? Did you think this held a lot of weight?
Yeah, I got to be honest. At first, first hearing these rumors kind of sneak in, I was kind of like, ha, nice. Like,
Me too. I'm not going to lie.
Of course.
Because Russell Wilson's obviously insanely talented. So the only thing that I have for you, Steezy, is the fact that, this story wasn't just pulled out of thin air. These were comments from Russell Wilson. You know what I mean? Like, he was out on Dan Patrick's show saying, I don't feel like I'm getting any help. I'm not getting protected. I'm sick of getting hit. And then his side was the one that released the teams that he would like to play for. It wasn't just random media members making that up. So because of that, I not only felt like it was a real possibility, but still do feel like it's a real possibility that Russell Wilson, but all the way leading up to the draft, I think that it is possible, even draft day. I wouldn't be overly stunned to see a draft day trade involving Wilson.
Whoa. Hold on, but real fast, I get what you're saying, right? He did say that. I'm not denying that he said I get hit too much, But what the media was trying to put out there was that, oh, Russell Wilson wants out. Russell Wilson said he gets hit too much. He didn't say, oh, I want out. And his agent said that if the Seahawks are wanting to trade him, because, you know, what's it called? After he made those comments on the Dan Patrick show, there was a report from the Seahawks side of things that, oh, Seahawks management wasn't happy. And, you know, Seahawks, they're one of the better franchises out there. They're well run. There's a great culture over there, or over here, I mean to say, and everyone loves it in Seattle for the most part. And so, you know, when Russell Wilson is out there pretty much staining the organization, you know, I'm not going to be surprised. Even if it's the franchise quarterback, they're not going to take that pretty lightly. And so with that being said,
because it is a very well-run organization, very respected organization, and recently a very successful organization. They've done a very good job lately. Do you think that, I mean, because from the outside perspective, I only see Russell Wilson so much, and I only talk about Russell Wilson on my show so much, just usually twice a year, 3 times this year, but is this possibly, because he is such a mellow, laid-back kind of guy, are those comments his way of saying, I want out? Because, like, he's not an aggressive. I don't think he would ever come out and say, I don't want to be here anymore. I think that was maybe his way of saying, maybe it's time to move on. You know, does that make any sense at all? Do you agree?
That makes perfect sense. I totally understand what you're saying, bro. I just feel like with Russ, if that's what he truly wanted, he should have just said something then. I mean, look, if you're an alpha male, if you're a superstar, don't beat around the bush. Come on, let's not do that. We're grown men. He's not a regular grown man. He's not a regular quarterback. He's a superstar. He's box office. He's Hollywood, one of the best quarterbacks in all of football, future Hall of Famer, all that. This is Russell Wilson we're talking about. If he wants something, let it be known. And I truly believe that. And I get it, bro. He's very PR centric. He's one of the most PR centric athletes out there. I mean, well, alongside LeBron James, there's other guys, but he's definitely super cautious about his image. And so I get that. But if he truly wanted that, he would have just said it. I truly believe that from the bottom of my heart. He would have just said that. Deshaun Watson, as we all know, he said that. He said, I want out of Houston. He unfollowed him, all that good stuff. Yeah. And with Russ, you know, he's tweeting his approval. Chris Carson, Gabe Jackson, all these guys that are coming in, Carlos Dunlap, Benson Mayowa, he's praising all these signers on Twitter. He's back to saying, go Hawks. If he truly wanted out, I don't think he'd be, you know, making the comments that he's making right now.
Yeah, kind of sounds like he used that platform a little bit to make a push and actually get some more people in.
Yeah, I agree, man. And see, that's the stuff that I wouldn't have known, man. And thank you so very much for clarifying that, CZA. Thank you so very much. Honestly, that's amazing, because what we hear and what we see on the outside is not really what's going on in Seattle and the little stuff that we don't really. So thanks, man. I appreciate that, man. Now, one of the big stuff in terms of like the Arizona Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals got JJ Watt, you know, excitingness. I'm really excited about that. Probably is one of the most exciting things that happened. Overall, I think the fan base were really excited about it. You know, putting him on the same defensive line as, you know, Chandler Jones once he's coming back healthy. What do you guys think when that news broke that the Arizona Cardinals ended up signing JJ Watt? Let's start off with Steezy, and then we'll go into my guy Joe in terms of JJ Watt being a member of the Cardinals.
Man, I actually dropped a video about it.
Nice.
I was worried. I was worried about my Hawks. You know, obviously we all know about the offensive line issues, and it's not just entirely on the offensive line. Like Russell Wilson, he's not blameless. I definitely blame some of the sacks that he's taking on Russell Wilson. Like, I'm not gonna just sit here and say that, oh, he's not at fault. He's definitely at fault. But at the same time, offensive line got to pick it up from time to time as well. So with that being said, when you guys got JJ Watt, I was like, my goodness. At first, I was thinking he was a little overpaid, but then I started looking into it a little bit more, and then I realized, you know what? No, he's not overpaid. His actual deal is 2 years and $28 million, and then with incentives, it's 2 years, $31 million. And so he's outside of the top 10 in terms of the highest paid defensive ends. And when you look at the Cardinals, they had a middle of the road defense last season. They were top 5 in the NFL in sacks. I think they were 4th overall. The pass defense was middle of the pack. I know Hassan Reddick left, but Chandler Jones wasn't there for about 7-8 games. Yeah, their defense was middle of the pack. And then JJ Watt, yes, he only had 4 or 5 sacks last season in Houston. Well, he had nobody around him in Houston. That defense was atrocious. Everybody was double teaming JJ Watt, so it's hard for him to put up numbers. But I don't know how much stock you guys put into Pro Football Focus, but his Pro Football Focus rating was still over 80. It was at a solid 85.3. And so, and then when your team is constantly playing from behind, I mean, is there really any point in getting after the quarterback if you're down 28-0? So
that's fair. All right, Joe, let me know what you think, and then I'll jump in it.
I was surprised to hear the move, and this is definitely not taking a shot at the Arizona Cardinals at all. But when he said that he wanted to leave Houston for a chance to win a ring, that's what surprised me about the Arizona Cardinals. And it's not that I don't think that the Arizona Cardinals have a very strong team. It's that this division is insane. So to try to win the division is already a task on its own. And so I was a little bit surprised to see that. And also, like, from his standpoint, so I was surprised to see him choose the Cardinals. But I was also surprised to see the Cardinals make a push for him. The pass defense is the weak spot of the Arizona Cardinals last year. And pass rush was not a problem. So they added to an area that they were already strong at. And, and I know that just recently, they did add that. Who is the corner they just signed? I'm blanking.
Malcolm Butler.
Right, Butler. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I like that move. It's unfortunate, obviously, to lose Peterson, but I was surprised to see that. You build up a strength, which, I mean, is not a bad thing, but I was a little bit surprised on both ends. But I know that we got Rob Havenstein that's going to be the one trying to block him, and we'll see.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. Honestly, I'm excited. Definitely, it brought up the hype back on this team, especially how we ended our season last year, because everything was looking good. We were a 5-2 team, 6-3 team, and then everything kind of fell off the wheels, and it was just terrible way of ending it. But a lot of people were positive, and a lot of people were like me when I was just like, oh my goodness, it's over, the end of the world. But when your end of the season comes over and you come to a realization like, oh my God, we're not going to postseason, it's like the end of the world for like a day or two. And then you start to really think, okay, it's not so bad. 8-8, we made a jump from last year, and it's just, I guess it's the process. But we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens for this 2021 season. I'm absolutely excited about the draft coming, and we're dwindling down from free agency that was pretty insane, if I might say so myself. Maybe not for our teams, but for other teams that are out there. Let's talk about free agency, guys, in terms of highlights, lowlights, and do you think that your team still needs a specific player? Do you want to go first, Joe? And then we'll go to Steezy, and then I'll take the reins.
Yeah, I'll go. I'm just talking about the Rams additions.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Of course, we did do the trade with Stafford. We already discussed that. And then we got Deshaun Jackson. That's the list right there. So it's a pretty short list. I was very surprised at the Deshaun Jackson contract until I kind of got into the details of it and how it's structured and how he only gets certain game checks if he's on, active roster on game day, stuff like that. So the way it's structured makes total sense. I was pegging the deal at about 1.7. That was not the case. It's up to, a lot higher than that. But that's the addition. And I don't hate that, because what the Rams were missing last year was that deep threat that we lost when we moved on from Brandon Cooks. Mm-hmm. We just didn't have it. Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, last year, Josh Reynolds, who's now a Titan, but Van Jefferson, they aren't that burner, take the top off a defense kind of guy. So Deshaun Jackson, we'll see what happens. I'm trying to kind of temper my expectations a little bit, considering his injury history and the fact that he's 34. So, we'll see what happens. But I think day one, he's automatically our best punt returner, and I'll take that. If that's what he brings to the Rams, then I'm okay with the move. So, but that's the list. That's all.
Perfect. I have a question for you before we move on to Steezy. And if Steezy has a question for you after, then that's awesome too. Basically, everybody in the outside looking, into the Rams, you guys make it seem like, or everybody makes it seem like you guys are like in cap nightmare. Is that the situation as to like why we're not seeing more additions to the Rams? Are they trying to open up more room, or do you think they're going to stay put?
Well, right now it seems like the Rams, depending on where you look, it's anywhere from about $8 to $14 million in cap space. So not a whole lot, but also our draft pool is not very big. We don't pick in the first round anymore ever. So, we just blow that off entirely. But, it's the cap situation is interesting. And right now I think that we're in a little bit of a weird spot because we're eating so much dead money from these contracts that we gave out. Big deal to Cooks and to Gurley and to Goff that we're eating dead cap still. I mean, I think it's Gurley and Goff still this year that we have a pretty solid chunk of dead cap on our cap. So I think that's really what it's coming off as, is that the Rams are in this horrible cap situation, absolute cap hell. It's fine. The cap is made up. Let's see what's taught us. It's made up. It's always possible to move things around and get under the cap.
Right. True. Perfect, man. Steezy, you take it away. Either if you have a question for him, for me, or you want to take on the Seahawks, go ahead.
I just want to ask why you guys re-signed what's his name? I'm forgetting his name. Leonard Floyd, 4 years and $64 million. I thought that was an overpay. But I thought you guys lost a couple of pieces. John Johnson, Troy Hill. You guys also lost Michael Brockers. You guys traded them to the Lions for a 7th-round pick. And so you said you guys don't have that many draft picks. And so how do you guys think that, or how do you think that they're going to address some of those holes that are left by all those departures?
Great question.
Well, it honestly kind of feels like we have most of those replacements already on the roster, and that we've, the Rams draft classes have been really strong. Maybe not from the outside perspective that, just coming in looking in like guys like Van Jefferson, who just didn't have a big year or anything like that. But as far as the safety position, John Johnson's absolutely a huge loss. That guy's an incredible safety, incredible player.
Underrated.
Yeah, very, very underrated. He's a very, very talented player. But, having Jordan Fuller and Terrell Burgess, who were rookies last year, come in, and they played very well. Burgess did get hurt a little bit, but Fuller, he was playing great. So I think that those will be the starters at safety. Losing Troy Hill is definitely a loss as well, but he was also kind of like, he did lead the NFL in defensive touchdowns last year, but he also had blown coverages and stuff. So, we kind of take the good with the bad. He was big hit or miss kind of guy. But David Long Jr., it looks like he'll kind of slide into that role, bring back Darius Williams, of course. And then there's certain guys like Gerald Everett that is now a Seahawk, but sounds like we already got that guy on the roster as well. Looks like the depth chart in that spot looks like we'll be okay there. And Brockers, that one is an interesting one because I really liked Brockers. He was one of my favorites. Going back to the St. Louis Ram days and all that. But
OG.
It kind of sounds like Sebastian Joseph Day is going to be filling that role. And, Brockers, the Rams still got what they wanted out of that trade, which was out of his cap situation. So the 7th-round pick coming back, obviously that's not a whole lot, but you don't lose that cap and then add somebody else, add more cap in. You just kind of get rid of his cap, and then that's it. That's all the Rams wanted out of that move. So, and that's what happens. Kingsbury.
That's fair. I want to address this real quick. We had Nick L, one of my subscribers, says Kingsbury still sucks go cards. Yeah, that's definitely a topic that we could definitely get into later on in a different roundtable, how we feel about our head coaches, because not the biggest fans, but thank you so very much, Nick L, for that super chat. All right, go ahead, Steezy.
Yeah, I feel like with some of the additions that the Seahawks have made, I'm very, very happy. A lot of people will talk about, they're not very splashy signings. Well, Seattle doesn't really sign, splashy guys. They don't sign the splashy guys. And so with that in mind, let's talk about Ahkello Witherspoon, right, from the Niners. Yeah, he's injury prone, but he's a perfect cornerback in Seattle's system, 6'3", 195. He could press at the line of scrimmage. He's a little inconsistent in coverage, but I feel like, if he's able to reach his potential, and if he's going to do it, he can do it in Seattle. It's the same scheme. He's only 26 years old. Maybe if he could stay healthy, I feel like he could really, provide really good value for $4 million, Shaquille Griffin, that's going to hurt. But, that was way too much money. He's a good cornerback. He's not top 10. He's good, but not great. And so I wouldn't have paid him, and I wouldn't bank on him becoming an elite cornerback. And that's nothing against him, but I'm glad Seattle didn't pony up about $15 million or about $14 million annually. That's just a little too much. And so I'm not too, bad. I'm not too sad about him going, but Ahkello Witherspoon I think is a great value signing. Gerald Everett from the Rams, he's been a backup his entire career in LA, but he was a 2nd-round pick if I'm not mistaken. And so that alone speaks to some of the talent that I believe he has a lot of, and he's only 26 years old himself. And you look at the fact that in each of, in all of his years as a Ram, his production went up each and every single year. And so he was behind Cooper Kupp, Tyler Higbee, Robert Woods. When you guys had Todd Gurley, you guys were very, very run heavy. And so I feel like he didn't have too many opportunities, but now that he's in Seattle, he's solid as a run blocker. I think he's versatile. He could also be the wide receiver 3. He's super athletic. But I like what he brings to the table. Another great value signing. 1 year, $6 million up to $7 million. I think I'd give it a B. Gabe Jackson. Do you want me to wait? Do you want me to go into all the signings or?
No, I mean, you don't have to go through every single signing. Just like overall, do you think that like I guess you're happy with it? Do you think that they still need like maybe a few more pieces?
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean,
Happy.
obviously Carlos Dunlap, him resigning, Ben Tameo resigning, I think that's very crucial. Overall I'm happy. I think there's still definitely a few needs I'd like the Seahawks to address. Wide receiver 3, another center, another corner, more defensive line depth, another defensive tackle. If we don't re-sign KJ Wright, then another linebacker. I think Jordan Brooks is a great guy in the waiting. I think he's going to produce well, but I think KJ Wright, there's still a chance that he comes back. And so, we have a few needs.
Perfect, man. Awesome. Yeah. So let me jump into the Cardinals here real quick. Here's the thing. How do I put this? Like, I guess if you look at every single free agent signing the Arizona Cardinals has done, the jokes, the Twitter jokes, everything is basically kind of true. Like, you're signing all the old people. This is basically where they come to retire. It sucks, stigma, but that's kind of like the way that it is. Steve Keim, our general manager, seems to have made it a point that he wants to win now. Now, whether it's going to happen with Cliff Kingsbury, we don't know. We all know that we are one of the toughest divisions out there. So it's really hard for me to say we can sweep Seahawks. We can sweep the Rams because we haven't done it in like 4 seasons. And then, the 49ers are another case there as well, which we'll get into a little later on. But we ended up signing AJ Green. Good thing is that he doesn't need to be a number 1 wide receiver. He's a number 2 wide receiver on the opposite side of D-Hop. So that's cool. We also signed Matt Prater, 36, 37 years old. We had an issue with Zane Gonzalez, which is our kicker. So Cardinal fans are happy about getting a kicker. JJ Watt was an awesome addition, but the one that really got me excited was trading for Rodney Hudson for a 3rd round pick from the Raiders. I feel like that was dynamite, like absolutely dynamite. The moment that we heard that they released him from the Raiders, Twitter got crazy. Every Cardinal fan were like, you need to get him. You need to get him. And obviously the next day happened where the Raiders were like, oh, no, we're not going to release him after all. We're going to see if he has trade value. Obviously, he has got trade value. It's one of the dumbest things you could have done to trade maybe a top 3, top 5 center. Thankfully, the Cardinals end up making the 3rd round pick switch around. And honestly, I feel like this is a dynamite pickup. And that's probably one of my favorite acquisitions throughout this entire offseason. JJ Watt was awesome. It's splashy. It's amazing. It's just there's the concern with injury. It's same thing with AJ Green. But let me be the first to say, like, if it doesn't work this time around, I really do hope the coaching staff and the GM are going to be in a complete hot seat. Because if we can't beat Rams 4 years or 5 years straight, let me tell you right now, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. My videos I'm just going to start flipping tables, man.
Well, I have one question for you on the Cardinals.
Yeah.
What's up with Fitz? What's happening there?
Oh, that's a good question, man. Fitzgerald, I don't think he's coming back. I really don't. Now, usually when we've heard Fitzgerald, we heard in January and February. That was the latest he's ever told us he's coming back. We're already, what date is it? The 27th of March. And we still haven't heard of Larry Fitzgerald. Now, there's rumors and speculations out there saying that he's going to go and do like a ring chase. Maybe Bruce Arians is going to try to pick him up for a really cheap deal to go with Tampa Bay. Tom Brady. There's all rumors and speculations going on, but I do not think he's coming back to the Cardinals. It sucks to say, and it rips my heart out. I do not know what I don't know what this Cardinals team is going to look like without Larry Fitzgerald on the field. Let me tell you that right now, but I don't think he's coming back. I really don't.
As a football fan, I know it's in division, but as a football fan, Larry Fitzgerald's one of my favorite all-time players. I love that guy.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
I agree. And I think a lot of people couldn't basically have that consensus of, man, he deserves a ring. And I think all of us deep down Cardinal fans always say that to ourselves. And although we say, just when Patriots were going through their dynasty, we're like, I guess if you want to send him over there, give him a ring, or maybe Tampa Bay, that's fine. It's just because we know that he deserves it. That's what he's waiting for. That's why he hasn't told us the news right now, because I don't think the Cardinals are going to re-sign him. And it sucks to say, but I think it's the real truth.
Is that like open invitation still there? I heard like a couple years ago, it was basically like, as long as he wants to play, he's got a roster spot in Arizona.
That's a great question. Honestly, I don't trust anything the front office says. The GM, the coaching staff, I don't trust anything that they say. They said that they were in talks with Patrick Peterson to re-sign him back. Patrick Peterson, like he has a podcast that he has. I think it's like called like All Things Covered or something like that. When the way he talks about it doesn't really make it seem like they really had a conversation with them or were very serious to keep Patrick Peterson. Now, a lot of fans were pretty much already like willing to kind of give up Patrick Peterson. I think he's going to come back and retire as a Cardinal, which is cool. That's all we can really ask for at this point. But I don't think the GM was willing to pay $10 million. And the same thing that with Larry Fitzgerald. Last year, we paid him for $11 million. We can't justify it this year. We can't. We have like $4 million left in cap. We can't justify it.
I'll tell you this on Patrick Peterson. Every once in a while, every couple of months or so, I still wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat thinking of that 99-yard punt return in overtime. Just like, oh, Patrick Peterson. And then, oh, God. I'll tell you this quick little story on that is I was watching that game. I was at Buffalo Wild Wings. I see him get the ball at the 1, and I'm sitting there like, huh, what an idiot, taking the ball on the 1, and then he just touchdown, game over. It was like, okay, well, awesome.
Let me tell you one thing. He definitely shined as a special team player in his rookie year. His DB skills as a rookie year didn't really shine. He definitely got beat a lot, but it happens. And DB is really hard to play from the collegiate level to the NFL. So I'm glad we have something, that's kind of scared of something for the Cardinals. But go ahead, Steezy. Do you have a question, man?
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask, what do you think is the likelihood that Kyler Murray wins MVP next season?
Ooh, that's a fantastic question, man. I think everybody right now in the Cardinals, like a lot of people are really holding hope that, like, that the trend, especially with the Patrick Mahomes and the Lamar Jacksons, that Kyler Murray was going to take that step as well, especially for his second year. I think he definitely improved from his first year, from his rookie year, not in terms of stats as well, in terms of like, win-loss column, but I still think there's some things that he needs to clean up. And I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is the guy. I really don't think so. If we fail again this year, I can really see Cliff Kingsbury getting fired and running it or try to get another coach, maybe a more experienced coach that's going to be able to make Kyler Murray flourish. I'm not going to set the expectation of MVP. I just wanted to get to the playoffs, man. I'm just being realistic here. I just want to get to the playoffs.
That's crazy because obviously we have the toughest division of football, but I think you guys are the biggest dark horse in the NFC after J.J. Watt, Rodney Hudson, A.J. Green. I feel like it doesn't matter that you guys are adding a whole bunch of old dudes because you guys already have a roster that's, I think, playoff ready. Kyler Murray's going to take that leap. DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray, they're going into year 2. I don't know what you guys are doing at running back. I mean, there's no one Kenyon Drake, but he's overpaid in Vegas. So, I'm glad 100%. You guys didn't pay for that. But I think maybe the draft is where you guys address running back.
Yeah,
but that's pretty much the only concern I have on offense. And obviously, head coach Cliff Kingsbury, I don't trust him either. As far as the Cardinals go, that's it for me.
Honestly, the move of bringing in A.J. Green, that was the one. I saw that one, and I was like, all right, stop it. Like,
no, that's fair, man.
I was like, all right, the Cardinals might be pretty good this year. That's we'll see.
I think we're going to be good as long as we can remain healthy. And I think sky's the limit for this team. I like the idea, especially with a Seahawks fan or a Rams fan, really looking at the Cardinals and being like, hey, man, they might be something. That gives me a little bit of excitement because I'm going to be honest here as a Cardinal fan. In my perspective, we always seemed like, man, here comes the Cardinals. They're coming on the road. Oh, that's a win. That's a win. And when you're looking at the schedule, so I'm kind of glad that we're finally looking better from the outside. So that kind of gives me a little hope for the future, or at least for this 2021 season anyway. So let's move on here, guys. I wanted to really talk about not the draft specifically, but last topic that we wanted to talk about, guys, is none other than the big move that happened. San Francisco 49ers ended up trading into the top 10 and getting the 3rd overall pick. Instant reactions. I'll go start off with us. Let's go with Joe first, then we'll go to Steezy, and then I'll take it. What do you think is going to happen? And were you surprised about this?
I was very surprised. I think what happens is they're lying to us. That Jimmy G is the guy. Who else do you move up for? It just nothing makes sense as far as moving up for anybody unless they have a quarterback that they got in mind. It sounds like we know who's going 1, and it's starting to sound like we know who's going 2. Mm-hmm. So who's going 3? Is it going to be Fields? I don't know. Either way, I think we have some really strong quarterbacks in this division. Jimmy G is the weakest link of that group.
I agree.
But I think that they I think that they made this move to improve that spot. So we'll see what happens. And Jimmy, I think is I don't think he's going to be around much longer. I think we might start hearing some John Lynch comments of, Jimmy Garoppolo is our quarterback right now. I think
exactly. 100%. Steezy, take it away, man. What do you feel about this?
I was a little hurt. Look, they're either taking Trey Lance or Justin Fields, who I'm very high on. But I hope they take Mac Jones because Mac Jones, I feel like he's going to have success in the NFL, but I'm looking at him as more of a game manager, at least until he proves me otherwise.
Yeah.
But with that being said, there has been a little bit of rumor stating that the 49ers are enamored with Mac Jones. I know they could have stayed at number 12 and potentially got, drafted him there, but I don't know. Who knows? But I think it's definitely going to hurt the rest of the NFC West in the long run, just because if they take a Trey Lance, who I think needs time to develop, but I think they can definitely get him right, in Kyle Shanahan's system. So I'm definitely scared in the long run, but I feel like the 49ers, even if they remain healthy, I'm not super high on them. They still have an elite defense, a pretty good defense, but look, keep in mind, there's no more DeForest Buckner. He's in Indianapolis. And then there's no more Solomon Thomas. There's no more Richard Sherman. There's no more there's a lot of guys that aren't there anymore. Eric Armstead had a chance to shine last year, but he had 3 sacks. So how good is he? Right. Kerry Hyder Jr. signed with us, and I'm super excited about Kerry Hyder Jr. coming to Seattle, as with the Chris Carson re-signing. And so with all that being said, I don't know. I mean, 49ers, they're going to be solid, but I'm more scared about them in the long run rather than
long run.
In the short
That's
term.
Fair. Yeah. That's absolutely fair. I wasn't shocked personally. I've talked about this, not the hate, but like the bagging on Jimmy G. I think I said it last offseason where if he doesn't do anything this year because he had some injury-prone years, that I felt like they were going to move on from him. And then I kind of got, I don't want to say attacked, but some 49er fan came on my page. They're like, oh, you're crazy, blah, 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 blah. And what's going to happen? The rumors that I've heard anyways is that maybe the Patriots might want him back. Who knows? Now, in my personal opinion, I do think it's going to be quarterback 49ers, and I do think they're going to get Justin Fields. But what if we lived in a world where the Jets are not ready to move on from Sam Darnold and they get somebody else? Would you be worried about a Wilson coming in? Now, obviously, I don't think he's going to flourish in the first year, but like Steezy said, in the long run, getting another, people already saying Patrick Mahomes or, Aaron Rodgers type of, people like to put comps on stuff. Would you guys be worried if he falls or if there's a quarterback? Who would you worry that they would end up getting?
If you ask me, I'd have to say Trey Lance. He's raw, but oh my goodness, I'm really enamored with his game. And I feel like you look at some of the tools, he doesn't have too much production. I mean, he only has 1 full season. He only played 1 game this past year, but you look at the full season that he had, 28 touchdowns, and I think only 1 interception. He had over 1,000 yards. He has all the tools. He's his leadership ability, if developed in the right system, I think he could absolutely flourish. Super athletic. I feel like if they get Trey Lance, he might be the next Patrick Mahomes. I don't know.
Wow. Okay, Joe, what you got, my guy?
I don't know if I fully agree with that. We'll see what happens, I guess. But honestly, I'm kind of worried that the Jets are going to screw something up and that they're going to get Wilson.
Yeah.
We don't need another dominant Wilson.
I hope not.
We don't need 2 dominant Wilsons at quarterback in this division. That's just too much. I know that the Rams defense is strong, but I can't handle that much. And Zach Wilson looks like the real deal. So hopefully the Jets don't screw this up for us, huh?
That's exactly what I was thinking, man. I was like, what if we live in that world where the Jets screw it up? They're like, we're going to get, a wide receiver for Sam Darnold, and that's cool for them because they probably need it. But having Zach Wilson there, like, I honestly did not want that. I don't know what to feel about that. Hopefully we'll get a 49ers guy here sometime. I'm pretty sure once we release this video, we'll be more, easier to get a 49ers guy to come on here so we can join the roundtable, guys. But it's been an absolute pleasure, man. Thank you guys so very much. I'll let you guys shout out to your channel one more time before we end it here, but we will make this a regular thing. Definitely come the season. It was absolutely fun, guys. we'll start off with Steezy. How can they find you? And then we'll move on to Joe.
Yes, sir. Once again, Calvin Domingo, aka Steezy A. Smith, at Steezy A. Smith, all social media platforms. If you guys aren't already following, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Just dropped a video earlier today titled Carlos Dunlap is back, and should Seattle and Richard Sherman reunite? So if you guys aren't already tapped in, be sure to check that out. But once again, shout out AZ Sports Fan, shout out my guy Joe. This was like you said, bro, it was a pleasure, super fun. Definitely everybody, if you aren't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like, show some love, man. Show some love, drop a comment, and be sure to tune in every single Saturday. But yeah, Steezy out.
That's fair. Hey, I'm going to ask you, go ahead, Joe. I'm going to ask this real quick, but let's finish what we have to say, and then we're going to get to this. Go ahead, Joe.
All right, so at Ram Showcase and at Sheriff Joe Bags on everything. That's Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Facebook is where I'm the most active, but I am doing my best. We are trying to incorporate more Instagram and Twitter into our lives. So make sure you guys follow there as well. And the Rams Showcase, just Rams Showcase on YouTube. Just search that, and you'll see me. You'll see this face with this background, and you're in the right spot. So that's
Love it. Love it. Obviously, if you guys are here, AZ Sports Fan, I'm on here, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Yeah, definitely subscribe, like. Let's end it off right here. This guy's asking, who's the better QB in the division? I know. I see Joe already shaking his head. Go ahead, Joe. We'll start off with you. I'll go next, and then we'll go to Steezy. Who's the best quarterback in the NFC West?
I mean, I hate to say this as a Rams fan, but I don't think there's really any competition. It's Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Did you say already? Because I didn't hear you.
Yeah, it's Russell Wilson.
Okay.
I mean, there's no competition. I like Stafford, and I'm excited to see what he does with McVay. I like Kyler Murray. He made a good jump from year 1 to year 2, so I'm interested to see what he does in that third jump. Who knows what the heck's going on in San Francisco? So yeah, I mean, without any real genuine competition, it is Wilson up here, and then you got the other tier with Stafford and
That's fair. Yeah, I'm going to keep it my short and sweet. Yeah, Russell Wilson for reasons that Joe already said. I hate saying it, but I don't think we even need to hear Steezy's answer, but go ahead, my guy.
Man, I feel like no disrespect to Kyler Murray, who I think, like I said, has a good chance to win MVP next year. I think he's a dark horse, just like his team in the NFC. But the fact that this is even a question, I feel like that's disrespectful towards Russell Wilson. And even if I was a Seahawks fan, I hope there's no bias in what I'm saying just because I'm a Seahawks fan, but I don't even have to be a fan to know that it's Russell Wilson by far.
I agree, man. I agree. All right, guys. Well, thank you so very much for being on here again. It's been an absolute pleasure. We're going to be ending the stream right here, guys. If you haven't already, definitely like, comment, and subscribe, and we will be bringing you guys this more. Smash the like button just to make sure that we know that you guys like this type of content, guys. All right, guys. That's all I got for this episode. Thank you so very much for tuning in, and we're out. Thank you.